What's up, guys? It's week 7, and this is your FanDuel NFL Week 7 first look, where we're going to take a look at the FanDuel pricing, going to go across all the position groups, look at all these games, and just get an early sense of where we want to go this week. So just an overview of the slate early in the week. Obviously, lots of news this week. It is a news-heavy explosion with quarterbacks hurt and running backs out. So we're going to try to break it all down and figure out what we want to do on this crazy slate. So when I say crazy slate, what do I mean? Well, if you take a look at these games, look at some of these game totals, 37.5, 37, 40, 42, 41, 39. Basically, all of the early games are shit, right? And then we get to the late games, and it's a little better, 44, 44, 45, and 48. Now, to make matters worse, part of the reason a lot of these games have such terribly low totals is because the quarterbacks are hurt in a lot of these games. So the Raiders, backup QB. Bears, backup QB. Here we've just got, the Falcons and the Bucks who don't score much, right? Bad offenses. Here we go. Browns, probably a backup QB. Colts, Gardner Minshew, backup QB, tough defense. So really not looking forward to this one very much at all. Can't really play offensive players against the Browns. That doesn't generally tend to work out. And of course, the Colts, the Browns don't have Deshaun Watson, most likely, although that could change. And so that doesn't look so good. Here we've got the Lions at the Ravens, and 42.5 point total, super low. Ravens favored, so maybe some spots there, but not really. Like the Lions defense has been really good this year. Ravens defense is okay. I'm interested on the Lions side, maybe at that running back situation. It looks like Montgomery will be out, so maybe Jahmyr Gibbs gets the start and gets the run. Even Craig Reynolds, the backup, has a Q tag right now, so we might get like a Jahmyr Gibbs game, maybe, finally. That's interesting, and we'll need that saving, so we'll keep an eye on him. Bills at the Patriots, another horribly low total. Patriots defense is not bad, all things considered. And, of course, Josh Allen, the Bills, coming off of some poor play last week. They usually do bounce back pretty strong after what was considered to be a bad game, even though they won. So maybe we'll see that little bounce back, angry Josh Allen action in that one. But beyond that, there isn't too much to like there. Definitely not interested in very much on the Patriots side. Washington at the Giants. Giants might once again be with a backup QB as well. So, not that I'm that different. It doesn't make that big of a difference, but maybe this game has some. If it was Daniel Jones, I guess I'd have some interest. Washington's a good pass funnel defense, but I don't know if I'm going to go there with Tyrod Taylor at the helm. And even if Daniel Jones does come back, I'm not sure that A, that he's all that much better, but B, that I trust him. Then we got the Steelers at the Rams. That one is interesting. The Rams are favored at home with a 23.5 point total. They also lost their running back. So it looks like for the Rams, we'll see Zach Evans maybe starting, but it's not clear. They got a bunch of guys, Myles Gaskin over there. Darrell Henderson Jr. is back. So it's a bit of a mess at running back for the Rams. But, man, if we could get some Zach Evans action, that would be nice. That's the rookie. He's super cheap here on FanDuel, so that would be interesting. Cardinals at the Seahawks. Seahawks have one of the better team totals on the slate at 26 points. But they're a tough team to really get behind. A lot of their players are priced kind of weird, so we'll take a look at them. I really do think it's a Kenny Walker type of game. Like the running back should have the most success, but it could go it could go any number of ways, especially if the Cardinals are scoring. So that's a game to keep an eye on. Packers at the Broncos. That's another one to keep an eye on. One of the higher totals on the slate. And of course, the Broncos defense is really not very good. The team's kind of quitting at this point, kind of in quit mode a little bit. So I'm interested in the Packers and that Packers offense in that game. Christian Watson probably, and Jordan Love would be my top targets. But Romeo Doubs is in the mix, and certainly the running backs with Aaron Jones and well, I don't know about Dylan, but Aaron Jones maybe a little bit. We'll see where he's priced. And finally, the big game of the week, which isn't that big, but it does feature two quality offenses. We got the Chargers at the Chiefs. Chiefs have been really good on defense this year, but whatever. On a slate like this, I don't think it matters that much. Like all we need to do is put up a nice score. I don't think there's going to be. This doesn't strike me as the type of slate where we're going to see these crazy elevated scores or any of the games going nuts. So I'll have some interest in this one, both on Mahomes and with Herbert. All right. Actually, here's a fun idea before we jump over to the actual FanDuel. I'm just going to run a sort on the Domination Station Optimizer who we have here at DFS Army and just see who the top value plays are. So sorting by value, fantasy points per dollar, and it just kind of gives me an idea of which players are popping from a value perspective. Again, Zach Evans here getting a decent projection. I like the Zach Evans play. I really do. I hope we can find out that he's starting. But if we don't, we might have to roll the dice on Zach Evans. He is projecting for some ownership as well. That's interesting. Josh Jacobs at 8K. Kind of get it. I kind of get that one too. Rashad White's just, a cheap running back that starts. He has not done anything all year. Gibbs. So I'm just taking a look here. Pacheco stands out. Let me just roll through these. Zay Flowers, top projection, the top value. Then you got some Diggs, Keenan Allen. It's funny. I thought it'd be Cooper Kupp up here, but it's not. It's kind of weird, I guess, because Cooper Kupp's as expensive as he is. Somebody needs to tell the Domination Station that it's not a real quarterback at the helm for the Raiders. It's a backup. Those numbers would come down. Let's see who else here. Just tight end. Travis Kelce, of course, the best value also. And then Andrews, as usual. And then, of course, here we go. Giants defense at 3,400. That one's interesting. All right. So that's really helpful. So let's jump over to FanDuel and scroll through the quarterback position, talk through a little some of these plays and see if we can figure out some good spots to attack this week. Pat Mahomes, of course, at 9,200. I don't think we can afford it. I haven't found where I'm able to make lineups that can afford a luxury QB, but FanDuel does favor QB scoring. It favors running back scoring. So it is better to get really good versions of those players whenever possible. So I'm going to keep an eye on Mahomes, of course, but he's not going to make the first look lineup. Josh Allen, similar, not a great matchup or a great spot or particularly, it seems more of a spot where Buffalo defense will do well. So he'll be in my mix, but not something I'm going crazy about. Herbert, of this game, I kind of think Herbert would almost be the better value just paying down. But I do also think that it makes a lot of sense for the Chargers in a game like this to lean heavy on the run. Eckler's back. So again, I'm not really sure that paying up for Herbert is the right call here. I guess the positive is not paying up that much, right? He's kind of similar to these other guys. Here we go. Lamar Jackson, I think playable, but probably not somebody that stands out on this particular slate. I like that he's at home. And Lamar Jackson's more of a tournament play, right? He's going to, if you look at his returns, like he'll have mediocre and then he'll pop off. Mediocre, terrible, pop, terrible. So he's kind of hit or miss. Usually he's either above, well over 20, or he's going to be in the mid-teens. So more of somebody I'm probably going to reserve for just tournament play where I know the downside is significant. Jordan Love's a pretty good spot. Obviously, he gets the cherry matchup at Denver. That's a matchup I'm looking to target most weeks, so I'm keeping him in mind. Jared Goff at Baltimore, number one team at slowing down opposing QBs. That's not something that I really want to target. It'd be nice if Deshaun Watson was going to play, but he's not. So we get into the Turdley zone, and really there's a lot of flaws across the board here. Geno Smith is kind of interesting at 7K. The Arizona matchup is one of the best matchups on paper that you can have this season. That defense, the offense has been decent at scoring, and I don't know, these games tend to pop. Arizona is allowing it's effectively the fourth most fantasy points per game to opposing QBs. So even though Geno has been really pedestrian this season, just nothing, right? 23, great game, and then a whole bunch of destroyed your lineup weeks. He's probably in the back of your mind more than I'm certainly not building around him, but he's in the back of my mind. Des Ridder, nuts QB the past 2 weeks. Who would have thought? Right? Who would have thought? So on DraftKings, at least, he was the nuts QB the last couple of weeks, put up decent scores, was cheap, and all the studs just haven't been producing. So that really worked out. This matchup for Ridder, it's okay. Tampa's fine. No different than any other matchup. He could do it. What I like about Des Ridder, and actually that's not even Ridder. That's I'm not even gonna say that. No, he just gets it done. I don't really actually, I was thinking of Dobbs here. Ridder does have running. Like he's got some rushing yards most weeks, but not much. Like the rushing has not been helping him. So he needs to really throw for all those yards. I don't like it. The one good thing about Ridder is cheap to stack, and London and Pitts, and that combination is a cheap combination. So certainly a milli maker type deal. Matthew Stafford is really interesting. I haven't played. Matthew Stafford is somebody I played. He was chalk last week. I was just kind of like, why are people doing that? What was his salary? I wonder if they don't show it, do they? No, I don't remember what his salary was on FanDuel, but they've dropped him down to 6,700 for this slate, which is crazy low. And as crazy as this seems, I'm going to plug in Matthew Stafford. Now, I have a reason why. Basically, I've gone through this slate quite a few times, and it is a stretch to put an expensive quarterback in the lineup and complete a lineup. It's just what it is. Now, part of the deal is this is early in the week, and there will be value situations that present themselves over the course of the week. Potentially, Jahmyr Gibbs could really pop. Zach Evans was his name. The running back for the Rams. Zach, is it Evans? Yeah, Zach Evans. That could be a thing at 4,800. If I'm able to use that, I can go to a better quarterback potentially. But for now, I'm just going to plug in the cheapie. I don't expect a ton out of Matthew Stafford, but here's my reasoning. At this price point, I'm really only looking for about 20 fantasy points, 7, 14, 21. So that gets you 3x. That's approximately what you need to take a tournament down on FanDuel. And so I only need 3. And with the running back situation in flux, not a lean on you running back, I'm thinking maybe they'll have to throw a little bit more than usual. So that's really the thought process for me with Stafford. Again, he's not normally a player that I like to roster. He hasn't had a had to have it game, but he's also been priced a lot higher all season long. So I'm going to plug him in. Let's see how it goes. All right. So jumping over to defense, I usually like to, again, try to play effectively the cheapest viable defense. And the domination station pointed it out for us. The Giants here at home against Washington, and the Giants defense not that good, but Washington is a bad offense that allows points to the opposing team. So with these other 3 teams, kind of not something I'm getting crazy about, although I could see playing any one of them. I'm going to plug in the Giants on this lineup just to create some breathing room here in terms of salary remaining. I do want to go over some of these other defenses, though, and talk about maybe some spots that I think are worth targeting. The Bears at home against the backup QB for the Raiders. I know the Bears defense sucks. Doesn't matter. You're going up against a backup. You can play them. Similar with the Colts. If PJ Washington is playing for the Browns, you can play Colts defense here, no problem. Packers are okay on the road, not in love with it. Bucks at home, not okay. Yeah, I would play them. Again, Atlanta's a team that turns the ball over. Des Ridder, 3 turnovers, I believe, last week. So certainly, even though he was the nuts, he was turning it over quite a bit. So you can play some Tampa here at 4K. Let's see, Baltimore, Detroit, no. Steelers, no. Rams, nah. Yeah, could play the Rams here against Pittsburgh at home. That's fine. Browns at the Colts, definitely viable play. Going up against Gardner Minshew and crew. Browns defense is actual good. So they're definitely in play as well. Commanders, yeah. Backup QB for the Giants. A lot of really legit spots, and all of these are legit. Raiders against the Tyler Badgett is a smash play. If we can afford this, I think Badgett is good for 2 or 3 turnovers in this game. Lock it in, right? That's happening. So you just play some Raiders. Now, I don't want to pay all the way up in this lineup because I will have a hard time making a lineup. But if that wasn't the case, yeah, I would be interested. Seahawks at home against Arizona, meh. Again, bad quarterback, bad team. I get it. I get why they're up there. And New England is a team on the collapse. So I have no issue with playing the Bills either, other than I don't want to pay for it. All right, let's talk running backs now. And, Austin Eckler, I really like him in this spot. I think that the Chargers are going to lean heavy on Eckler. At the same time, 9,400 is constrictive, and it's going to be tough to place him in this lineup. I start off really cheap with my QB and defense, but when I have to stack this QB with, let's just put the stack in there now. If we're stacking him with Cooper Kupp at 9,700, that is a brutal price to pay, even for Cooper Kupp. So it once again kind of limits how much we're going to have to spend if we do this. I'm going to try it, though. So let's see what happens. But Eckler's in a great spot. Kenny Walker's in a great spot. Kenny Walker has Yeah, he's got a chance to really deliver here. But again, paying that price for Kenny Walker, it's just wild. It's crazy. It's crazy. What's happening? So, Kyron Williams out. Saquon Barkley with the backup QB, good spot, but at a reasonable price. I don't mind it, but we have to see about his health. It's too early in the week to go for that. Josh Jacobs is popping off the charts as well. Obviously, it's a good matchup against Chicago, but they're running the backup QB, and I don't really expect a lot of scoring in this game. So there is some risk there that they just don't score a lot. It's field goals, and it's just this ugly, low-scoring game, and it's just shit, right? And you roster this guy, and you're like all excited, and the final score is like 13-3. And you're like, or the defense scores once. There is risk with those guys, so just be aware of it. Bijan, not getting enough volume for my taste, but I do firmly believe that the breakout is coming for Bijan. And when it happens, if you're not on that train, the train will have sailed. You're going to be like, oh, man, I missed it. And that was it. Right? So the breakout is coming, but so far, I'm still seeing way too many carries for Tyler Algier for my taste. Isaiah Pacheco is somebody I'm going to plug in. I think that the Chiefs are relying really heavily on Pacheco right now. 16 carries last week, 6 targets. Where are those targets coming from? Like out of nowhere. He needs the touchdown to produce, and he's not like a guy that normally produces at this level. But if you just add a touchdown to his game last week, he got you 20, and okay, that's about the upside. But this game really pops a little bit. It's a good matchup for the running game for the Chiefs. So I'm going to plug in Pacheco here. Continuing on through the running back position, Brian Robinson's all right. Not a ton of volume there too. I think he's more of a GPP only kind of play. Not somebody I'm like actively looking to target, but I don't mind it. James Cook, no touchdowns, not good. Zach Moss splitting touches, tough matchup, not good. Jerome Ford is interesting. Guys, he's playable here. Jerome Ford in the Nick Chubb role for the Browns. Everybody's talking about Kareem Hunt because, he got some work last week, but Jerome Ford still got 19 touches. And no one's talking about Ford. The matchup is good. I just like this play. I like the spot for Ford. I wish I can get a full blast starter. But 19 touches is as good as just about anybody. So I kind of like Ford there if we need to pay down. I'm keeping him in mind. Moving down the list, Kareem Hunt. Ooh, Q tag on Kareem Hunt. Let's see. Did not practice. Added to the injury report. Missed early week practices. Could be precautionary, but you know what? I've seen enough for my early week lineup. What if we plug in Jerome Ford? If Kareem Hunt is hurt, we get a full blast Ford here with a solid defensive team in Cleveland going up against a Colts team that has the backup in. There is a lot of I like that spot, so I'm going to plug that in. But I want to talk through a couple of other spots that might be interesting. Jahmyr Gibbs, Craig Reynolds is actually injured as well, or has a Q tag. So if Jahmyr Gibbs gets the full workload, could be interesting. Baltimore, a little bit easier to run against than they might be to pass against. So I'm interested. Oh, Rashad White. Has he scored a touchdown this year? Let's see. Receiving touchdown. I don't know. I mean, this guy's been terrible. Yeah, there's a touchdown, rushing touchdown. He has 1 touchdown on the season. He's a running back, and he's got 1 touchdown. So he's got all this work, 17 carries, 5 targets. He's getting all of this volume and yet not doing a thing. This is it's not unprecedented, but it's messed up, right? Like normally when you feed a running back volume, that leads to heavy scoring. I don't know what's going on here, but it is not working with Rashad White. Javonte Williams splitting. He never gets more than 12 touches, or he hasn't, so I'm not into that. The last spot that we could look at is, of course, Zach Evans, and it is unclear that he is the starter. But if he is, it really does change the slate. So I want to just bring him up here. Sean McVay today kind of gave some wishy-washy language about, all these guys that they have and giving them a look and this or that. I do think that Evans is the guy. I think he's the best of them, but I don't hold it past the team to either just be like all of a sudden Darrell Henderson Jr. is the guy or some other random that we don't know about. So while I I'm proceeding with caution, and it's early in the week, and I'm still waiting for some blurbs on this that tell me for sure that this guy is a starter. At 4,800, we can take the shot. So I've got him reserved here. I can move him up into this spot here, and we're going kind of cheap with the running back position. I wouldn't mind upgrading some of these if we can. Let's see. All right. So, of course, I plugged in Cooper Kupp with Matthew Stafford. Had I started with a different QB, I could have done it different, right? But with Stafford, you kind of have to have Cooper Kupp in there with him. I'm just having a hard time. This is a tough week to pick a quarterback. They're all pretty shitty, and every one of them has massive flaws. So, I could go all the way up to Herbert here and do it different. But in this version of a lineup, I'm just going to stick with this because I really like Cooper Kupp in general. Right. So from here, where can we go? We've got 7K left. I got tight end. I've got wide receivers. So I want to go through the wide receiver position a little bit. Yeah, Keenan Allen, good spot, of course. But with Eckler back, I'm probably not going to pay 9,200 for him. So I'm off. I'm basically off Keenan Allen this week. I'm not playing him. Definitely not playing. Stephon Diggs, fine. But again, too expensive. Amon Ra, always in a good spot. Always a good player. Always playable. Devontae Adams is unplayable to me with the backup quarterback for the Raiders in the game. Metcalf ribs. I don't think that's anything to worry about. Metcalf is interesting, but we'll have to see about him. Mike Evans having a pretty good year as well. Not somebody I'm trying to stretch for. Then we get to a bunch of no's, right? DJ Moore, no Fields, no DJ Moore. Myers, no Garoppolo, no Myers, right? Puka just kind of overpriced for the role now that Cooper Kupp is back. Pickens is interesting. I like the bring back on Pickens. I don't like where they have him salaried here on FanDuel, but I do like the idea of a bring back if I'm playing Matthew Stafford to bring it back with Pickens to kind of get a, hey, there's some people playing this. The negative here is I don't really like the salary. I think he's overpriced. So I want to look and dive deeper, right? Pittman's okay again normally, but not against Cleveland. London has been having some good games, but he's a sub 5K player on DraftKings. I'm not paying 8K for him on FanDuel. I'm 7K on FanDuel. I'm just not doing it. Tyler Lockett's interesting as well. So he's got that hamstring Q tag. I'm assuming they just do that in Seattle. They give him all a Q tag at the beginning of the week. This is an interesting play as well. I like Geno. I like that spot. That's a great matchup. Interesting. Marquise Brown playable. Christian Watson, though. Let's plug in Christian Watson. The Packers are against a terrible Broncos defense. So why not plug in Christian Watson? They're taking deep shots to Watson. He got 7 targets, got the touchdown last week. The connection hasn't been there, but the last couple of weeks, Jordan Love has just been playing bad. So if Jordan Love turns it around and plays well, I think Christian Watson can go out there and have a monster game. So I like him. I'm going to plug him in. Some other names that I think are good. Josh Palmer, fine at 6,500. I'm cool with that. Zay Flowers down here, 6,300. I like it quite a bit. Let's see what else. Romeo Doubs, Reynolds, meh. Judy, meh. Bourne, forlorn. Downs, no. Darius Slayton, Jameson Williams, no. Rashee Rice, yeah, all right. So I don't mind a little Rashee Rice if we're going all the way down here, but I'm not going to do that for this lineup. Any other players even down here that I'm interested in? No. So I think based on what I'm seeing here, Zay Flowers I like over there. That's probably the cheapest guy I like a bit would be Zay. Can I afford Pickens? Let's see. Just for the bring back, should we do it? Or should we go down to Flowers and see what we can afford at better running backs? All right, let's see how this looks. I'll plug in Flowers. We've got 8,500 for the tight end. Now here you could just play Kelsey. Okay. Or Kelsey's fine. But the other option is find a pay down tight end and then upgrade one of these running back spots or the quarterback or spend this extra 3K. So if I plug in Freiermuth here, which is fine play, but not better or worse than any of these others. I think Logan Thomas is okay. Kyle Pitts is fine. Maybe I don't like Ertz too much, but yeah, that's about it. Oh, Don Parham, he catches touchdowns. Njoku's okay as well. So there are some other options here at tight end I think that are interesting. And but nonetheless, we even plug in Fryermuth in here. That adds 3,000 of salary, and now we can find a spot to upgrade. Right, so I can go 48, 50 to 70. So I can upgrade off this Zach Evans spot and just say, all right, I don't know if he's playing or what his deal is. So I'll take him out. And how much do I have left? 7,800. And you can just plug in maybe somebody that's a little better. Bijan. That about it. I like to play running backs in the flex here on FanDuel. So Aaron Jones, kind of. I probably don't like that. I guess Bijan is probably just okay. I don't love any of these spots. So let me see if I can do something different. Let me go back to leave Evans in there. Oops. Turn that off. We'll put Evans back in there. I like this spot with Evans. 3K to spend. How about upgrading off of Ford to Austin Eck? Oh yeah, that's what I like to see. So in this situation, yes, we got a mediocre quarterback, and we've got him with his very cheap, but effectively probably a yardage and touchdowns running back. That is not a great combination, but at least we'll get all the touchdowns for the Rams. If that's great, I don't even know if that's great, but something. Fryermuth on the bring back on that game from the Steelers. We've got studs here, Cooper Kupp and Austin Eckler. Isaiah Pacheco in the sort of up-pace game of the week. Christian Watson, touchdown guy. Zay Flowers, high upside guy. Giants, decent defense. It's early in the week, and thank goodness we're going to get a lot more clarity as the week continues. But the big takeaway from me and just breaking this down is, man, it is going to be tricky to figure out which games to attack. It's going to be tricky this week to sort of feel a lot of confidence. So with a quarterback selection, I don't feel great about Matthew Stafford at all, but I don't really feel great about any of these guys. So it's not like there's somebody else sitting here that looks really good. So I think we're going to have to be diverse this week, spread it around, take a lot of different sort of approaches, and don't be scared to click some buttons that normally we might have been scared to click in the past, because there is no game that really is popping off the screen. So we're not going to have super obvious plays. Hopefully some things will open up as the week continues. You guys know I will be back all week, all the shows, breaking down the showdowns, having the tournament tactics crew and the Millie Maker crew together to talk DraftKings tournaments, all that good stuff right here in the DFS Army channel. So make sure to like, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite starting quarterback and wide receiver combination is here on FanDuel, because I'm lost. I need your help this week to feel really good about one of these. And I will see you guys on the next one.